please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you?
Yes, my name is Carol Kuhl. I was born January 20th, 1943 in Jersey City, New Jersey. That year, my parents bought a house in one of the first planned communities, Radburn, New Jersey, part of Fair Lawn. We had the typical small bungalow, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. We lived in a planned community which had a pool, tennis courts, archery, tot lot, softball, and it was a great place to grow up in the 1950s. Lots of fun.
Tell me a little bit about your family. What were your parents and siblings like, and did you have any responsibilities?
I had 2 siblings, an older brother, 2 years older, and a younger brother, 10 years younger. We did have a lot of responsibilities since my father became an invalid when I was about 12 years old. And I had to raise my brother, take care of him every day after school, do the dishes. There was no such thing as a dishwasher. You washed and dried them every night. And my brother did the outside and I did the inside.
Did you have any heroes or role models when you were a child?
Not exactly. I liked Pat Boone when I was younger, but I think my parents were really my role models. They gave me my value system.
What dreams and goals did you have for your life when you graduated high school?
I really wanted to go to college, but I didn't know what I wanted to study. And back then, you were usually a teacher, a nurse, or a secretary. And none of those really appealed to me. But because we had very little money after my father got sick, and my brother was already at West Point, and I stayed home and took my scholarship and went to secretarial school and thought I would go to college after that at night. But I ended up getting married at 21 and did not continue my education. Probably my number 1 regret.
Can you please tell me about your any romantic partners you had when you were young, and if so, can you tell me a little about them and what you learned?
Well, I really didn't date until I was maybe 17 or 18. I don't think people dated as young then. We had friends. I went to a square dance with a nice young man. I went to a dance. I went up to West Point to some dances, but I knew I never really wanted to be an army wife. That didn't appeal to me. That's one thing I was definite on.
You said before that you'd went to secretarial school. Can you tell me what that was like?
Well, I went every day. I commuted, and we had mailable letters, shorthand, a pre-law course, math, and to graduate you had to have a certain amount of mailable letters without any errors. And I was the second in my class to graduate, and I got a job right away with Ziba Geige, and I was the secretary.
How did you meet your spouse? When did you get married? And what did you like about him?
Well, I got married for the first time when I was 21 to a very charming, good-looking man. But as the years went on, I realized we didn't have the same value system, and sadly, I had to go through a very messy divorce and was left with 2 children to take care of myself. But then again, I met a wonderful man in my 40s, and I've been married to him for 26 years, and he's the one who's the father to my children and the grandfather to my grandchildren.
How many kids did you have? Tell me about them. What was the best thing about being a parent and a grandparent?
I had 2 daughters. One is an exercise physiologist and one is a technology executive. The best part is watching them mature and learn, and what I love the best is that they're wonderful to each other today and to their families. And my grandchildren, I just love watching them grow and learn. And having fun with them, especially in Florida where we have such a good time and they love to come and visit.
Do you have any hobbies or special interests? What is a typical day like for you?
I like to play golf. I only took it out when I was 65. I've always liked to play tennis. I actually have a trophy from 8th grade. And I love the stock market. I guess in retrospect, that's what I would have done if I had had the opportunity to go to college.
What do you think are your 3 best qualities and your 3 worst?
Well, I think I'm family oriented. I'm organized. I think I have a sense of responsibility and a good value system. My worst qualities, well, I asked my husband about that. And he said, I didn't have any and don't change. So that's the way I'll leave that question.
What is the most difficult thing that has ever happened to you, and how did you deal with it?
I had 2 difficult things happen to me. Of course, there were other little ones, but my major ones was my divorce with 2 younger children that I knew I wanted to raise in a certain way with a certain value system. And it was very difficult for me for about 5 years because I also had a mother who was dying at the same time of cancer. So I just tried to put one foot in front of the other each day. And also as a child when my father became sick. We were young, there was no disability. How we made it was people surrounded us that were good to us. My father's company always gave us presents at Christmas, donations. They gave us enough money to pay our mortgage for 1 whole year for over 8 years. They made us so we could grow up and survive and contribute to society and become good Americans.
What do you feel have been the most important successes in your life and the frustrations?
As a mother, I would say my children. My frustrations were, that I couldn't make my marriage work. I would have loved to have one marriage and my children to have a loving father.
Do you have a life philosophy? What is your best piece of advice for living?
Well, you must live for the now, and you must keep to your principles and your value system. Don't let anyone talk you out of that, ever. Be trustworthy, honest,